You're welcome back to the conversation on News Central Television. The first half of the show, we just concluded our conversation on President Cyril Ramaphosa constituted a new advisory council on corruption. It's now time for us to switch gears and look at situations in Kenya. Now, following August disputed presidential election results in Kenya, the Supreme Court has ordered a recount of presidential votes in 15 polling stations across the country. Each party will be represented by two agents during the exercise under the supervision of the Registrar of the Supreme Court and her staff. Opposition leader Rita Omodia, who is seeking the presidency for the fifth time, is contesting the results of a tight vote, after which the Election Commission chairman declared Deputy President William Ruto the winner.
On Tuesday, Kenya's Supreme Court also laid out questions it will answer when it rules on the petition. The president of the seven-member court, Chief Justice Martha Koome, revealed that the Supreme Court is to decide if the polling station returns were interfered with and whether the postponement of 8 gubernatorial and legislative elections disadvantage any candidate. The court will also decide whether the tallying of presidential votes met constitutional standards and whether Ruto attained the constitutional threshold of 50% plus one of the votes cast, and whether any irregularities were substantial enough to nullify the poll. Joining us for this conversation, we have Wenslauce Chengo, a journalist, and Josephine Njuguna, a communication expert. Both of them join us live from Nairobi, Kenya. Glad to have you join us on the conversation.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll start with Njuguna right now. The Supreme Court has rejected 3 applications, including President-elect William Ruto's request to bar the Law Society of Kenya from being enjoined in the 2022 presidential election petition. Can you tell us more of these applications and why they were rejected by the Supreme Court?
I will say that I'm not a law expert, but I believe they felt that they were not supposed to be in that petition. They felt that they were enjoining themselves for other reasons rather than the petition itself.
Okay. All right. Let's hear from Wenslauce on this. What's your take on it?
When it comes to the petitions, because we have two sides here. We have Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition, of which those are the claimants, and we have also UDA, of which it hosts as President-elect William Ruto, and also we have IEBC here. So when it comes to these petitions, the petitions are laid by UDA, that's with the President-elect William Ruto. All the 3 petitions were thrown out by the judicial system. So I think it's simply because they do not meet the proper threshold, or they cannot stand clearly to hold any grounds in court.
Thank you, Wenslauce. Let me bring in Josephine here. Now, Josephine, the Supreme Court has allowed the application to admit to record the replying affidavits of the 4 IEBC commissioners, Juliana Cherera, Justice Nyangaya, Francis Wanderi, and Irene Massett, who disowned the results of the presidential elections. Do you think by doing this, it will help the Azimio case in any way, and what effect will it have on the petition? What do you make of this?
I've been watching the proceedings in the Supreme Court, and one of the things that's coming out with most of the judges is if there were issues, because we are told that there were issues from the beginning with the whole process. So the question is, why now? Why at the end? Why at the tail end? Are there issues now being told to the public? I'm speaking as a general public person. I'm not a law person. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
The technicalities.
Exactly. So I'm talking as a layperson, as the general, we call general mwananchi in the country. So the question is, why now? Why didn't they speak up at the very beginning when they started seeing things going wrong? Because right now the issue is, or the chairman he decided he was going to do things in a certain way. But the question that is being asked is, there are procedures, there are guidelines. So why is it now, when the results were declared, is it that the 4 commissioners decided that it was not correct? So that's the issue.
Okay, Wenslauce, let's hear from you now. The court also struck out the petition from former Gatundu South MP, that is Moses Kuria, and former Mberi South MP, Geoffrey Kiangi, allies of Ruto, who had filed a petition urging the Apex Court to throw out Raila Odinga's suit on the grounds that he was involved in election malpractices. Now, Raila Odinga filed the petition at the Supreme Court against William Ruto, saying he actually was involved in turning the election to favor him. So how would you review Ruto's responses to Odinga's allegation? Because it was about 254 response to Raila Odinga's allegations.
First thing first, this is what I should say. What is happening right now in Kenya when it comes to election petition, this is not new to us. We are having a repeat of a mistake. And when it comes to the 2 petitions from Moses Kuria, a great ally of William Ruto, those allegations, they, as per the court, they don't hold any ground whatsoever at the Supreme. And that's why, unfortunately, they were thrown out. We find that the same people were pushing so hard so that some of the petition filed by amicus curiae, the friends of the court, to be thrown out too. You see, what's happening right now in UDA, they're just falling back on defense. There isn't much to do here because we are speaking of a failed system. Yeah, it's not just about UDA anymore. It's not just about Azimio anymore. It's not just about IEBC. We are speaking about everything right now. This is a failed system.
Now, Josephine, in 2017, it's almost like a deja vu situation here. We had a fresh election was ordered after the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga won his case in the Supreme Court, where he boycotted that election, saying that, the IEBC was compromised and it was the IEBC that was still going to organize the elections. So I don't want us to be preemptive here because we don't know what the Supreme Court ruling will be. But my question is this. This is the 3rd time Mr. Odinga is going to the Supreme Court to contest election results. How do Kenyans view him? Do you think is kind of desperate for the presidency, and do people see him as a sore loser, or is going to the Supreme Court? Does he have enough grounds to, to contest this election result?
Well, it is his right. It's his constitutional right to go to the Supreme Court and put on his concerns and ask the Supreme Court to rule about the different. There are very many petitions that have been put forward by him and his team. With regards to who he is, he has done quite a bit for this country. I will say that he's a statesman. What is not clear is that perhaps the majority of Kenyans do not feel. And that's the reason why we're saying the margin is so close. It's very close. So it brings a problem, and it's difficult to say whether or not Kenyans, we value him as a statesman, as a leader, but I think it's unfortunate that this is happening
is there
again.
apprehension in what's the mood like in Kenya? Because they're not too sure a winner has been declared, and then you have the Supreme Court case. How are people going about their business?
We're actually going back. We've been back to business, to be honest. This time round, we're back to, if you could say, normal. We're all saying, okay, we'll watch what happens, but everyone has gone back to work. We're doing what we normally do. The mood is not as bad as it was in previous election years. In fact, I think we can say we have matured as a country with regards to elections.
Okay, looking at this maturity for elections, Wenslauce, I'm going to take this question off now. And this is coming from the situation of the BBI, Raila Odinga, bringing it forward. Now, Josephine talked about a slim margin between the two contestants. And this is not the first time we're having slim margins occurring between two horse races, between the two major contestants. Do you think that probably a shared government will solve this issue? And probably if there is, we wouldn't have situations going back to the Supreme Court challenging election results?
When it comes to challenging election results, as what's happening right now in Kenya, and it has happened before, and we are not sure if this type of situation will stop or it will continue to happen. When you have a credible election that now the people have exercised their rule of law of voting as assigned by the Constitution, that's when we can clearly say that we will no longer be going in this particular route when it comes that in each election we either have violence or the case has to be, the election has to be petitioned again.
You know, Wenslauce, when you look at the slim margin, it's obvious that Kenya is a bit divided. I mean, how do you see things between 49.1%, I believe, for Raila Odinga, 48% for Odinga, and about 50% for William Ruto? Don't you see the country a bit divided?
Yeah, it's clearly shown. You know, the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. And it's clear that the nation is divided per se in terms of numbers. The margin is so slim, and these numbers are so critical right now because the so-called numbers is what the petitioners, the claimants, and the defendants are fighting for right now in court. So I'll categorically state that those numbers are critical, and the margin is so small in that the country itself per se that
Hello, Wenslauce, are you there? Now, let me bring in Josephine. Now, Josephine, Kenya Supreme Court ordered the recount of ballots cast at 15 polling stations in 4 counties, Kericho,
Yes.
Nandi, Nyandarua, and Mombasa. The first 3 counties voted heavily for Ruto, while Mombasa residents voted mainly for Raila Odinga. What do you think, do you predict any major change after this recount? And what will the Supreme Court be looking for?
I think the concern is on the veracity of the polling ballots. They just want to make sure that nothing was done that was not correct in those counties. And you're correct, especially the counties in Ruto's area and Raila's area. So they just want to make sure that by the time they make their ruling, Kenyans will be confident that the correct decision has been made. So for them, it's about the veracity the correctness of the process, because that's what has been brought to court. The 4 commissioners are saying that there were things that were not done correctly. So the judges have decided, okay, let's do a recount in these ones, because these are the ones that seem to be having challenges. So once that is done, I cannot predict it would
Probably things will turn around and somehow to favor Raila Odinga. You can't predict that, right?
I wouldn't want to predict that
Okay.
on social media. So what I would say is, what I like is that the veracity is being checked on both sides, because Mombasa, let me explain. Like, for example, Mombasa went directly to Raila, which Wandi and those areas, those are Ruto's strongholds. So that one was not a surprise. But I think they just want to check that nothing amiss happened during the voting process.
Thank you, Josephine. Now, Wenslauce, we do know that the case is in court now, and I believe there's a date that has been set aside for the swearing-in ceremony. So when should we be expecting a verdict from the Supreme Court?
Okay, so luckily, Friday this week, that's the possible final day of the court session. But on Monday next week, that's when the Kenyans and also the whole world will be able to know the full verdict of the petition.
Okay, Wenslauce, how would you rate the standard of the Supreme Court? Now, this has been instituted about 10 or 11 years ago, and we've had this Supreme Court instituted for the presidential election petitions tribunals. Can you trust the standard and the outcome of the Supreme Court?
Yeah, I'll stand firm with that. I can louder our Supreme Court or our judicial system. I can stand with it, because it has a track record. We can see from the past petitions and the past process when it comes to complaints regarding election. Yeah, it has stood out. So for me, the problem is in the judicial system on how it will handle the election petition. The problem is to fix all the loopholes. You see, the question is, at the end of the day, does my vote count? Yeah, that's what each and every person, each and every voter is asking. Is asking right now. Does my vote count? Yeah.
And is the process free and fair? And I guess that's why the presidential elections ended up being petitioned at the Supreme Court. I'd like to say a big thank you to you, Wenslauce, Chengo, and Josephine Njuguna, for being a part of today's conversation. Thanks for your time and contribution to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this is where we drop the anchor on today's edition of A Conversation, the first half of the show. We did talk about South Africa, where the president has constituted an advisory council to help him fight corruption in the country. We just concluded our conversation on the Supreme Court's decision in Kenya to order a rerun in 15 polling units. Yes, fresh elections have been ordered in 15 polling units. And Gbenga Aborowa, I thank you very much for being a part of today's conversation.
And I'm Rita Omodia. Bye-bye.